Okay, here we go.
Adult conversation.
Adult conversations, orgasm, sex drive, toys, marital aids versus toys, masturbation, oral sex, anal sex. Excuse me, real quick. I had a whole bunch of information on this, but I can't give it to you because we ain't got no time. Orgasms.
This is what everybody came for.
There are some people that can only have orgasms a specific way.
Certain positions.
Certain positions, different types of specific stimulation. And it's okay to, with your spouse, don't get into the mindset like this is the only way that I can have an orgasm. You are free to explore other natural ways so that you and your spouse can both get the most pleasure out of the experience. Do we understand that? Do I have to go into detail? I ain't scared.
Because he will.
You're right. Sex drives. We talked about the high and the low. We need to learn how to work those out, right?
Bring balance
if you got
to the force.
high, exactly. Say that again.
Bring balance to the force.
Bring balance to the force. If somebody has a high drive and the other one has a medium or low, you have the conversations, talk things out, work through them so that everybody can walk away satisfied. Everybody's got different. If both of you got high drives, then y'all like some Energizer bunnies, and you're just gonna go all the time. Toys versus marital aids. Now we talked about a little bit before. There are certain things that are okay, and there's a lot of stuff that isn't. There's a difference between marital aids and toys, and especially the toys that are not acceptable in the realm of our sex lives. Okay? There's things that are vibrators, and there's different types of vibrators. There's all types of dildos and all sorts of different things. Now, we understand anatomy, right? There are certain men that are extremely blessed in those areas, and there are certain men that are not as blessed in those areas. The one thing that we don't talk about is women. We never talk about the women not being able to. Every woman ain't got the same size vagina either. We never talk about the woman that's got one that's a little bit too tight and things always hurt versus the ones that are a little bit loose and you just jump in that joker. We don't never talk about that. And unfortunately, men are the ones who always suffer because our manhood is hung on our manhood. And so we feel bad sometimes. But that's one story, that's one conversation that I had, but I've heard of many stories where people had to go and get marital aids in order to work in their marriage because of these different types of problems. She is not happy, not satisfied, this, that, and the third. He is not happy and not satisfied. There are certain things that you can do that don't break the marital boundaries.
Yep.
If you got to go get something the size of a horse penis in order to make you happy, something wrong with you. That's the perversion of certain things, right? You don't need all of that. That's not necessary.
Right. You're not even designed for all of that.
No, not at all. You can spit a baby out, good. But as far as your pleasure goes, you don't need that. That's crossing the line. You don't need that. So there are certain marital aids. Marital aids. We're not talking about all this extra perverted type stuff. You're not going to look for no dildo that's named after some guy. I believe there's some demonic stuff attached to that because you're imagining having sex with another man's anatomy. You can't do that. That's wrong. That's wrong. There are certain things that will be more acceptable than others.
And then if you notice, it's marital aids versus toys. So a marital aid is to help your marriage.
To
it's
assist.
to help your intimacy. It's to be used together, not individual. Like, I ain't taking stuff on a business trip while I'm by myself. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not doing that because that's something else, right? That's not helping our marriage. That's only helping me, right?
And on that note, with the toys versus the marital aids, when we look at people who have disabilities, in order for them to still be intimate, they are going to use marital aids. They're going to use marital aids.
That's right.
So we need to stop looking at everything like it is the absolute worst of the worst and stop putting everybody in the same box. God forbid anything was to happen to any one of us and we could not provide for our spouse. We would be looking for something that we can still satisfy and enjoy as much intimacy as we could with our spouse. So everything in that store is not all bad all the time. It just has to be in the context, in agreement, and it can't be anything that's over the top.
Yeah.
AIDS. These are things that we approve of, but it's also kind of like give you guys some ideas of what we feel is allowable. This is between a husband and a wife. These are nifty little things that you guys can do and go get and make intimacy more fun, so that it's not the same mundane thing over and over again.
That's right. Here we go.
Learn to be creative and enjoy the moment, right? Now, when it comes to masturbation, the rule on masturbation. Can I be ignorant for a minute?
I guess so.
When it comes to choking the chicken and flicking the bean, when it comes to these things.
That's one I wish I'd never heard.
I know, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It's slang.
I know, it's just funny.
It's slang.
It's just weird for you to be like saying it. I don't know.
Bean
Weird.
flicker.
Moving on.
Don't do that? Okay.
Moving on.
So when it comes to masturbation, it goes back to the same thing before when we talk about imagination. Nothing says, if imagination that takes you away from your spouse is bad.
Yeah.
Imagination that keeps you in tune with your spouse is good. Now, when it comes to this, masturbation, there are a lot of different theories on masturbation. Masturbation is more or less always tied to a spirit of lust. And what that spirit of lust that it's tied to is always about something else. Some other person, an old this, an ex that, something that doesn't have to do with your spouse. So the debate now is can you masturbate away from your spouse if you're thinking about your spouse? That has to be between you and God. But people do exercise masturbation when they are enjoying each other's company together.
That's right.
All right? You playing with him, he's playing with you, he's playing with himself, you playing with yourself. And that arrangement of togetherness is a lot different than I'm not with my spouse and I'm just off in my own brain and I'm just somewhere just having a moment. Well, you don't have a bean, sir. You don't have a bean. If there's a bean somewhere in there, something's wrong with that picture. You need to check your anatomy.
Got it. Yeah.
There's a bean in there. There's a bean in there.
Moving on. Come on. What do we got? Good Lord.
All right. So
Dude, I'm dying in
oral
here.
sex, right? So there's people that have different situations with oral sex. Once again, this will be something that's up to you and your spouse. There's nothing specifically in the Bible that says that you cannot have oral sex. Going back to the Songs of Solomon or the Songs of Songs, the debatable part of that is there's scriptures in there when she's talking about her garden and he was tasting the garden, the fruit and the grapes and this, that, and the third. Some people translate it to mean that there was oral sex involved. Does the Bible specifically say anything about oral sex? No. It's one of those things that's going to have to be up to you and your spouse. Okay? And then there's other stuff that goes along with that too. Anal sex. Anal sex is mostly from Sodom and Gomorrah when you look at the homosexuals' way to enjoy themselves. But does it say anything specifically about a husband and a spouse, a man and a woman engaging in oral sex to being a sin?
Right.
The Bible does
Anal
not
sex.
say anything clearly about that.
Yeah. But here's here's the deal. Lots of people are doing that. It's very it's sort of like a popular thing people are doing nowadays. Sort of shockingly so. Like heterosexual couples are doing it. And you just need to be mindful, right? Because, that is meant as an exit. And it does usher your solid waste out of your body. So there are cleanliness issues. There are definitely infection issues.
Absolutely.
There are, gosh, I don't know how else to word it. But, if you're too active back there, you may lose all tightness. And then, one accident...
You cough too hard, you get that sneeze.
I've
hit that
heard
sneeze,
some stories. Wait a minute. That wasn't. I thought I had to pass gas. That's not what that was.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, so you really have to be careful and know what you're doing. But that's one of those things that is like what he's saying. Well, the Bible doesn't say that heterosexual couples can't do that. But just because all things are permissible doesn't mean that all things are good. So be in prayer. And take that to the Lord. If that's something that you enjoy, that you do, that you want to, you're interested in doing, just take it to the Lord and let Him lead you on that.
And you got wipes. All right, so we got
Wait,
a couple
you pulled
more.
this one?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so pull that one.
Who's that? What's this? Oh, we still got. Oh man. Okay.
Jackpot.
What did you want to do?
Okay, so that's
Because we
for
didn't
this
give any
couple right
order.
here.